The following video is based on the rise of tuition fees, stating facts on why the rise has taken place, the effects on economic growth, the advantages and disadvantages, followed by our recommendations. From September 2012, the tuition fees current rate of £3,290 a year will be lifted to a basic threshold of £6,000. In exceptional circumstances, some universities will be allowed to charge £9,000. This controversial policy was backed by Parliament in December 2010 and has since caused major controversy throughout Britain. So why was the change introduced? The current university system is unsustainable due to the rising amount of young people attending university. Uncompetitive, as most universities charge the same maximum tuition fees. And unfair, because the number of children from poorer families who make it to top universities has reduced dramatically. The present model of higher education is simply not providing enough money to support the growing number of students. The Brown Review shows that public funding per student is now lower in real terms than it was 20 years ago. Competition with universities in other countries is rising. The number of graduates from Chinese universities are expected to grow at least 5 times in the next 15 years. There are a few possible alternatives to the rise, one of those being graduates paying a supplement in their income tax. However, this would not work, as once they had graduated, they could simply move abroad to prevent the government obtaining the tax. Today, 60% of university funding comes from the public sector and 40% from private sector sources. With the new model for higher education, it will be possible to reverse this. Higher education is now a nationalised industry, with universities solely dependent on state support for their survival. The stunning injustice of the current system is that working class people are paying taxes to subsidise the wealthy. This is due to the fact that anyone who graduates from university, whatever their social origin, is then in a position to make far more money than they would ever pay out for their degree. The effects of increased tuition fees on economic growth are indefinite. The increased competitiveness of higher education will thereby amplify pressure on universities to be more efficient, responsive and innovative. The downside to this is that unless stronger measures are taken, it will reduce institutional diversity and will damage wider participation and threaten quality. Higher fees will encourage students to be more selective in the courses they choose and to contemplate whether university is right for them, improving dynamic efficiency. The risk of the taxpayer having to fund students who solely go to university for the excitement of student life and to get out of full-time work will hopefully be removed. Higher funding is needed for universities to maintain high levels of research and development, offering long-term macroeconomic benefits to the economy. The advantages of students achieving a degree benefit not only themselves, but the economy as a whole. With the quality of graduates increasing, job prospects improve. This will mean higher earnings and an escalated marginal propensity to consume. Furthermore, this will increase aggregate demand and promote economic growth. Repayment through the income tax system introduces higher income earners to repay their debt more quickly. This specifies that the loans only need to be repaid when incomes rise above a certain level, which should make students reluctant to borrow if they cannot be confident about their future earnings. There are also disadvantages of introducing the rise of tuition fees. Only 7% of children from families in the lowest social class currently go to university. Higher tuition fees will make it harder for relatively poor families to fund a degree. This will widen education inequality and create a further widening of the two-tier education system. The rise will lead to a huge surge in student debt and hardship, which in turn will have negative economic and social consequences in the long run. Means testing is costly to monitor, so this can create disincentive effects. Another disadvantage is that graduate tax does not show the relationship between the cost of the course and the amount repaid by the student. It therefore introduces no market-based element into the higher education sector. Those who do not attend university because of the increase in fees could well begin to claim unemployment benefits, thus costing the government more money. So what are our recommendations? We agree that the overall benefits to the economy outrule the negative effects of the change. It is recommended that the government promote higher education alongside how they expect the students to pay back the debt, which will eliminate any confusion. The increased competitiveness of universities will in turn create a higher quality outturn of graduates, promoting a higher income. The multiplier effect will help to stimulate economic growth, improving standard of living and GDP. The rise means graduates pay back less of their loan than they would had the rise not taken place, which means they have more income to spend in the economy. And finally, we agree with the suggestion of keeping means-tested tuition fees, as this helps people on a lower income still consider higher education for themselves or their family. Thank you for listening to our video, and we hope you enjoyed it.